well, that's not on the patent issues, as Lori mentioned, there is a difference between the U.S. patent system, which is very maximalist in its approach. It is easy to get a patent and then control a new technology for 20 years. Japan tradition has been somewhat more restrictive, which has enabled Japanese inventors to enter the market more quickly and more frequently in different areas of technology, and thereby continue to advance technology and Japanese industry. A good example is statins, or cholesterol-lowering drugs, which developed in part by Japanese companies developing novel processes and novel technologies, using flexibilities in the Japanese system to bring them into the market that would not have been possible under the U.S. system. With regard to surgical methods, the idea here is that in the United States, a company can own the exclusive right for doctors or hospitals to perform surgical methods on which all our hospitals rely. There are certain defenses against that control in U.S. law, but in the U.S. TPP proposal, they have only written the restrictions on doctors, not the exceptions. So they are giving you the worst of our system. This is a real danger because if implemented, it would mean that Japanese hospitals, Japanese doctors, medical education programs might have higher costs, might have to pay royalties in order to use the treatment. On the matter of seed patents, genetically engineered organisms, the basic issue is this.
Could you make it in a minute?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I must close, but the basic issue there is simply that the United States TPP demand is new inventions for plants or animals, period. So genetic engineering, seeds, etc., should be patentable, therefore eligible for control by multinational corporations. Again, the global standards are narrower, do not permit such extensive private control. And we can answer in more detail another time.
Or could you also make it in a minute?
The food labeling law that was successfully challenged was identifying what country the meat came from, and that is the U.S. law that was challenged. There has also been a challenge, but not successfully all the way at WTO, of the European label on GMOs. So what is dangerous is that the TPP could reverse what the WTO said, which is that some of these labels are okay, not the U.S. label, but the European one. And more importantly, there can be the private investor state suit. So the corporations that are the U.S. or other food companies that believe that they are being denied an investor right by not being able to either get approval and planting of GMO seeds here, the seed companies, or the sale of food here, could sue directly as an investor who has lost money. And if this seems like this is improbable, one very sad story of the BSE beef is the real problem came to the U.S. from Canada. It was in Canada that they had the BSE, but the U.S. and the Canadian herds of cattle are so integrated because of NAFTA. There was actually Canadian cows that got into the U.S. food system that caused the crisis. Once we realized we stopped all cattle imports from Canada. And the Canadian beef producers used investor stake in NAFTA to sue the United States for stopping the import of the BSD cows, saying this undermines their investor rights to market access in the United States. So this is already a food case of investor state attack.